Hi, Namaste, and welcome to a new episode of Outside Two Ferns, not Between Two Ferns. And today we have Chef Aniket here with us, and it's so kind of him to come and take out time and step away from his camera shy persona to talk to us about his life and his culinary journey, his favorite food, and a lot of other secret things about, what the life of a chef is. Aniket, hi.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
We're glad to have you. So please, everyone, I know you for a long time. I've known you a very long time. सबको बताओ who you are, what do you do, and school में क्या नाम था, घर पे क्या नाम था, and shit like that, right?
So I started working when I was 18. I joined. So I always wanted to be a chef. I think it started when I was 13 or 14. It was because of my grandmother, who was a horrible cook. So I had no option other than that because my parents were working. So post that, I started making a few dishes at home, like random, like putting ketchup on bread and making a sandwich and feeling all chefy. So I think that got me into it. But then I started with Oberoi Hotels. They have a program called Systematic Training and Education Program. Post that, I was 3 years in Agra. Then 1 year I went to Bombay to work at Botticino, which was again an Oberoi hotel. And then post that, I did some stints here and there. Then I went to Bangkok to do an internship at GA. After that, I went to Paris to do like a master's. So I did a superior culinary arts from Alain Ducasse. And post that, I was in this 2 Michelin restaurant called David Kuda for some time. But then COVID happened, things happened, and I had to come back. And then after that, I started working in Delhi. Then I was in Goa, heading this restaurant called Black Sheep Bistro. And now I'm back in Delhi. So.
Awesome. Everyone's heard of Black Sheep Bistro, जो भी गोवा गया है. And I personally love the food, you know that. But I think there you have it. The biggest motivation to cook good food is जब आपको कोई घटिया खाना खिलाता है. तो या तो एक्सेप्ट कर लो, खाओ घटिया खाना, या सीखो कुछ अच्छा बना लो खुद से. So that's how you became a chef. So thank you for sharing that. दादी माँ का worst recipe क्या है जो तुम मतलब ये बनाती है दादी तो you're like अरे भाई आज तो बाहर से खाना पड़ेगा.
I think fish curry.
Fish curry,
yeah,
really?
Because the fish used to be.
And
always,
you're a Bengali.
Yeah, so I mean, and it used to be always raw. So I had no option. So that was like pathetic. Yeah, and I was a big foodie when I was a kid because I used to think the world would pause and I'd eat. The world would turn into a pizza and I'll eat it because I'd always think about food. And being a hungry kid going back home after school, you want to have like a nice meal, right?
Yeah.
Because you've been thinking about food the entire day.
That's the main focus of every day.
And then you just
स्कूल में जाके सबसे पहले बस में टिफिन पहले खाना उसके बिना जिसका
the biggest irony is now I love raw fish.
I think that's worked out really well.
Yeah.
Played it to your favor. Nice. ठीक है, तो tell us about GA, and I know GA is a very famous restaurant and he's been featured on Netflix. What was that like? How was it there?
So GA was my first like step into the Michelin, the whole Michelin airspace. So it was fantastic. I mean, the kind of dedication people had, the kind of people you work with, I think that is more important. Then you feel the whole purpose of being a chef. You most of the time you're away from family, you're working, you're away from your friends, you don't have time to socialize, and you give up on so many things, right? So it shows the value. It shows it gives you a whole new perspective in a way where it makes sense to
do what you're doing. Yeah,
correct. I mean, it can be right or wrong, but it's meant for some people and it's not meant for some people. That's how.
तो थाईलैंड में पार्टी नहीं किया, सिर्फ काम किया.
Yeah. Party भी किया, but.
So tell me, is the food really worth it? 2 Michelin star restaurants, 1 Michelin star, काफी हल्ला है दुनिया में, इंडिया में एक भी नहीं है. Do you think कि मतलब is this rating system is fine or is it really worth it कि भाई इतना ज़्यादा importance दिया जाता है in chefs को, in restaurants को?
I think Michelin Guide is more about the consistency. Like for me, I think it's totally worth it because you put a lot into those dishes. From your So it make like creating a dish is a whole process than to just go to the market and collecting ingredients and making something.
What about Indian hotels and then working in Paris? How was that? Alain Ducasse, very big name. It's one of the most prestigious places to go.
Yeah.
How was that? How intense was that?
I think the first thing which I tasted when I was in France was a jus. And it's something we've made like since day one in culinary, as you know it, like that's how you start with. And when I tasted the jus there, I think a lot of things made sense to me in terms of like jus is basically a juice. If it's a meat jus, it's basically meat juice. So what you need to taste is the meat first. You need to taste that meat, and then anything else,
right?
Like not carrot or not onion or not garlic, for example. So it was very clear that whatever dish is there, it needs to make sense. So I think the jus which we used to make were like loaded with like mirpua and a lot of things. So it tasted more like a broth than like a meat sauce, So I think that was the first thing which like really stood
out.
Yeah. And
but in culture wise, India France में काम करना कैसा था? लोग काम करने wise कैसे थे?
I think chefs all across the globe are the same. Everywhere you go, any kitchen you go, from dhabas to Michelin restaurant, chefs, they think the same. They smoke. They
do all the wrong things in the world. They abuse.
Correct. So I think in that way, I don't see any difference per se. But I mean, India is like really kind of growing right now in terms of the whole culinary scene. And I think no major differences. I mean, like anybody who wants to cook, who wants to give something out, who wants to be the best, has that fire, has that aggression, has that everything. So be it India, be it France, be it anywhere, I think it's all the same.
So true. So true. सब chef पागल होते हैं कहीं भी हो, correct? So I have one last thing. Tell people who want to become chefs. There are people who are professionals who want to change and become a chef, and everyone thinks that being a chef is so cool and it's so nice. For people who want to be professional chefs, what would be your advice? And you've seen the sides of working in good restaurants, working abroad, working in India, working in 5-star hotels. So जो chef बनना चाहता है, what is your advice to them? कि क्या करना चाहिए कि नहीं, और pros and cons क्या है?
Yeah, I think the easiest way to do is to make a pros and cons list. Okay, I think number one, and when you have the pros and cons list, take the pros, throw it out. Take the cons and see, can you face that? And I think because it's very simple, it's like a very strict, you have to be like, obviously you have to be very disciplined, you have to be consistent, you have to be focused. And so if in order to be disciplined, be focused, you need to sacrifice on a lot of things. So if you think you can sacrifice on those things, and then, because everybody loves food, everybody has a passion for food, correct? But to actually wake up, if you're supposed to be on shift at 5, be there by 4:55, I mean that's what matters. So
shaved, clean, uniform,
yes.
bathed at 4:50.
Correct. And in the kitchen, ready to start your day. So it takes a lot. It's more about that fire, and I think that's the only thing which keeps you in this industry. There's no other thing. I mean, it's just that whole thing when it comes to an end. Like, let's say you're planning a dinner for like 500 people. So 7 days you have stress, then you have the event day, and then once you do it, that satisfaction of doing it is basically why it's
worth it.
Become chefs.
Makes it worth it, yeah. And it's been a pleasure. Thank you for doing a recipe for us.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for tolerating us for so long. And I hope you guys learned something, and it gave you some insight on what it takes and how it is to be a chef. चाहे इंडिया में आप काम करें, बाहर काम करें, रेस्टोरेंट्स में, होटल्स में, it's a challenging life, but it is a lot of fun, isn't it?
It is, absolutely.
So that's it. Thank you. Namaste, and we will see you soon.